All right, Mic Check exclusive. We got the bro Dyce. What's going on, man?
What's going on, fam? How you living?
Going good, going good. So, what name come from first?
Well, my dad actually played baseball for the Twins, and they used to call him Dyce, D-I-C-E, and then I decided to add a Y because it actually stands for Do You and change everything.
Okay, so it's acronym.
Mm-hmm.
Dope, dope,
Mm-hmm.
dope. So, what type of music um, are you mostly interested in?
Uh, I'm mostly into like everything. I know that sounds crazy. Let me break that down. Like I do pop, rock, rap, R&B. Um, I'm about to put out an EP. I'm kind of working on the title, but I really want to showcase every genre because I don't want to be able to be, branded into one box. I think a lot of people are, scared to take risk, and I'm one of those guys that's just like, I'm gonna do me, and if the people bite it, they bite it, and if they don't, life goes on. I'm gonna keep making music.
Word up.
What inspires you to do music?
Um, I think most of it comes with my story, my background. I was adopted when I was 2 years old. My whole family's white, um, and I just think that people, they have a stereotype about how people look at each other. And my father's 73 years old, and never once has he called me out my name or anything like that. And I just think with a man that came from, the baby boomer generation, if he can see past what color I am to bring me into his home and call me a son, then there's no reason right now in 2013 going into 2014 that the world can.
So,
I think
what?
people need to learn how to just accept each other for who we are, and what kind of character, attributes people have as opposed to what color they are, or where they're from, or how they talk, or things like that.
Okay. What inspires you to write, and what do you write about mostly?
Life experiences. I usually try and keep it real because I think a lot of artists these days they fabricate. They talk about a lot of stuff, and then my dad always says, live what you write, or you'll write what you live. And so when you say something to the public, if you have that type of following, you got to keep it real because eventually it'll catch up with you. There's a lot of guys that say they do this and say they do that, and then come to find out, I won't say their names, but you see how it goes on in the media. They either get shot at or they in jail for doing something that they're not really used to their lifestyle, and
Right.
that's why those guys have those breakdowns. Because they come out in the public every day and they're pretending to be something they're not, and I don't want to be that.
Question. Would you rather be an independent artist or artist signed?
I'm at like 50-50 right now with that. I think
Okay.
um, if I can get enough exposure just through local media markets and maybe international type stuff, that all just depends on how hard you push. A lot of guys think that things just kind of happen. I'm really just trying to get as many connections as I can and kind of outreach and hope people share my story because I think the story is more important than the music. I think the music is a catalyst for what I'm really trying to do. Um, so things like that.
What other projects do you have out?
Right now, I had an old mixtape. I used to run with a crew called One Nation. We have a lot of things out. There's a mixtape called Old School by Lil One. Uh, we put that out about 2 years ago, and that's the only thing I really did as far as actually putting out projects. Right now, I'm working on my first album called The Adoption. I've released 2 songs and 2 videos, Dice, No Color, and then The Walk in My Shoes that just came out last week. And so really, I'm just kind of starting out. I'm kind of a rookie in the whole music world, but I have studied it for a long time, so I feel fully prepared to take it on.
Cool. So, what is the One Nation movement?
One Nation is actually what my boy started a couple years ago, and it was really the foundation of what I'm doing now, which is the No Color thing, my No Color movement. The One Nation movement was a way to get the country to come together as one. I think to bring all the cultures, and we started, making all different kinds of music from, like I said, hip hop to country to rock to whatever we could get our hands on. And then, we kind of just went our separate ways. We're still boys and everything like that, but he's doing his thing, and I'm doing mine right now. So I'm starting to No Color. Not really a movement, but that's kind of like my saying. That's my key slogan, No Color.
What are some of your life experiences that you read about? Yeah, that you read about.
Um, I talk about everything as far as my mom passing away when I was 12. That was big. My biological mother, I've never met her. I've actually never met anybody in my biological family. So I try and talk about how I feel about that, how I feel about my biological mother not being there, abandonment. I also like to talk about real things like like love and relationships and having a good time. I mean, I talk about just about anything really that I've actually been through. So I've been through quite a bit. So I feel like I have a lot of music to produce with lots of different topics.
What's the release date for the mixtape?
Right now, I think it's February, early February. That's what I'm thinking right now. Just kind of working with the process, trying to get the right producers and the right people together to make sure that it's actually what I want to do.
Nice, nice.
What's the hardest and easiest part for you about performing?
The hardest part for me is actually in the studio. I get real uncomfortable. I don't know why. Just something about recording and hearing my own voice. I feel most comfortable on stage. I've only done, I don't know, a handful of performances, but I think it's one of those careers where you either know you got it or you don't. You'll know within 5 seconds whether there's 5 people in the room or 500 if you can handle the stage presence or not.
When did you start doing music first?
When I was 14, I started writing. I did a lot of poetry. And then I tried the whole rapping thing at first, and people used to laugh because it wasn't good. I wish I had some of that recorded. But, yeah, I started writing when I was 14. And I actually, in 2009, I published my first poetry book called Hidden Tears. And then from there, I just kind of started putting things together.
What was that project about?
It was more about just how I felt about my mom. I think a lot of it was just the emotions I had because I was 12 years old and I didn't really.
Can you give us some of that?
I don't even know if I can think of it right now, but like.
Do you freestyle at all?
Oh yeah, I've been known to do some of that a little bit every now and then. You know what I'm saying?
You know, the audience is wanting to know something about this this project, man. Give us something.
So. Oh, you want me to do?
Something about your mom, like.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah.
my mom, when I was born, there's a lot of issues. They said that I would never walk, I would never talk. A lot of it's in that No Color song, and in the Walk in My Shoes, they said that I was born with cerebral palsy, and they said you might as well just let him be. My actual birth mother actually abandoned me twice, left me in a hospital, just didn't come back, and so I just really went through a lot of emotional struggles with that, man. You know what I'm saying? I went through a lot with just being adopted, being raised by an all-white family. I don't know anybody else like me that's fully black and whose dad is all white. And I call him my dad. People, we'll go into restaurants and people will be like, so like, is that your like adopted dad? And my thing is you have to earn the right to be called a parent. And just because you give birth doesn't give you the right to be called a parent. You have to actually raise a child. And I think that's just something that the world needs to know. There's just so many implications in regards to where you're from or what color your family is, or it really doesn't matter. I think that your family is who you make it, and eventually I want people to see things the way I do.
Will you be partnering up with any foundations, children foundations, and?
I'm actually doing business right now with One Heart. They're the St. Louis County Adoption Agency. I'm working on several different projects with them, hopefully in the spring. I have talked to I Know Better. I got a few phone calls from them. They do a lot of safety stuff and with the kids, and I've talked to there's just a couple other local people I've talked to just to do business with them, kind of just new in it and just kind of get the story out.
How can people reach you with the adoption programs that you're with? How can they get in contact with you if they want to know more information about that?
You can email me at all lowercase musicdreams 2556 at Gmail. You can follow me on Twitter at Dyce Music 56. Instagram is the same thing, and you can jump on my fan page on Facebook at Dyce DYCE, or you can add me on Facebook and contact me that way at Willie Dyson. So that's how you can get at me.
So man, STL artists.
Mm-hmm.
Who's your favorite? Who you don't like, and why don't you like them, or why do you like them?
I really don't keep up with a lot of rap. This is gonna sound crazy. Like I consider myself an artist. I don't really pay attention to a lot of what everybody else is doing because I don't want to fall into what everybody else is doing. I feel like a lot of rap is the same right now. So I try not to listen to any of it and really just focus on what I'm doing. Nelly does his thing. I think that the only thing about that is that nobody else has really had the business direction to really put themselves out there in St. Louis. I think a lot of people think that you just make a song and then next month you're famous. I think a lot of artists just have to learn to really develop the business side of their aspirations, and then really learn to just keep pushing. And you got to crawl before you can walk, and you got to walk before you can run. So I think that's a lot of it.
Tell us your thoughts on why a lot of St. Louis artists don't make it out of St. Louis.
I don't know. I don't know how much actual music business is actually here in St. Louis that's like on a national level. I think if you want to be local, it just depends on your drive. There's a lot of local clubs and bars you can get into, and it just depends on how well your marketing team is. I think that's anywhere. You got to have a really good promoter. You got to have a good marketer, and you got to have investors. This is a business. It's not like, oh, I just make music, so I'm gonna get signed. You got to have a plan. You got to have a plan that people want to invest money with you to where they know they're going to get their investments back. That's the reality of music. I think a lot of people don't realize it's not. Music is a business. It's if you want to take it to the level of getting paid for it and having people actually buy your music, it is a business, and you have to approach it with the business sense. Otherwise, you won't make it.
Sure, indeed.
Yeah, I just want to say shout out to my boy Lil One. I want to say shout out to everybody in St. Louis who keeps grinding. I want to say shout out to all my artists in Kansas City. Shout out to Tech Nine and Chris Calico. Appreciate y'all coming out to those shows last year when we was in there in the building in KC. Just shout out to the world, man. I hope everybody can just learn to look at each other from a different light, and I hope my music can do that for you.